Okay, fire away. Anybody?
What do the Saints bring in the return game that you
Yeah,
saw tonight?
the Saints are very good across the board. I mean, they got great personnel. They fly around, very well coached. I mean, Darren Rizzi does a heck of a job. Uh, he has those guys flying around. I mean, when you watch the tape, it's really impressive. The return game, Shaheed is very good. I mean, kick return, punt return, so smooth. He can hit it north and south. He can get around you. Got great speed. Good decision maker. I mean, he obviously had a muff last week, but that's an outlier for him, really. We have a lot of respect for him. He's a very dangerous returner, so they're good across the board.
Are they a touchback team, or they fall in line with everyone else? I mean,
No, no. In fact, they're the outlier as far as that goes too. They actually 70% of the time they kick to you, so. We'll see what happens. I mean, we're getting ready for that. We expect that. So, we're actually excited about it.
McColl's popped up out of the mix. Who would be the guys to
Well,
replace?
we have a number of guys that can do it. Obviously, Nico can do it. Washington could do it. Any of those two guys could possibly pop up. If McColl was down. And then obviously we have other guys in the mix. I mean, Worthy could be a punt returner. Sky Moore. You know, and we have a lot of guys. We have a lot of options there.
What can you say about Arise's importance last game?
Yeah, he had a great game. He had 4 punts, four inside the 20, 50 gross, and a 50 net. I mean, that's pretty darn good numbers. I thought he was definitely a contender for AFC Player of the Week, I thought, on special teams. I mean, if he didn't, I mean, obviously, I can't remember who got it. Oh, Tennessee kid, the kicker got it at Tennessee, who's well deserved too. But he had a great game. He was important in that game for us. He flipped the field. We made him go to the distance there. We got the ball back, and then we scored Worthy's touchdown right after that. So we had a big hand in that. And Matt played an important part in the guys going down and down the ball. So it was big.
How much has he kind of shown growth on all of those sides for you, getting the pin inside the 20?
Yeah,
He
he
wasn't as good early.
right. Early in the first game, we had a couple touchbacks, two touchbacks out of three balls, and after that, it's been no touchbacks. Knock wood. I mean, we keep that going. That's important. He's off to a good start. We're only 4 games in. We got a long way to go, but I like where he's heading right now.
That deep field goal, did you kind of know that was just a?
No, I knew it was a hard. It's going to be good if he got it. I mean, I thought he had a real good shot at it. I mean, it was just half a yard short when you go down and look at actually where it landed. And it was so deep that the returner couldn't even get to it. We knew a returner was in there. We had to cover that kick if it was short. But the chance that we had, I mean, it was a perfect setup because they weren't going to get the ball. They weren't going to get the ball with the field position. The time was going to run out. So, Pat did a good job there, getting us in a situation. He's so smart. He gets us in. He knows exactly what to do there, when we want to try a long one there. So it's perfect.
I mean, they have someone go back on a long kick like that. Do you change your personnel, or
We don't change personnel. We know it's out there. We know we have to cover. If you watched our guys after the kick, they immediately, the old linemen, it's not ideal that you got old linemen covering, but that's the advantage for them is having a returner back there. You just have to, you practice it. You know where your lanes are, and it's not something you practice all the time. But they understood, that they had to cover that kick.
A couple more. All right, thank you.
All right,
Coach.
thanks.
1 minute. I set my watch fast, so I'm off. I think it's 7 minutes fast. Are we at 11:59 right now?
Yes, we are.
All right, I'm good. All right, I just got done talking to Joe Buck, and Troy Aikman brought me back to the days when I was in the NFC. Used to see those guys all the time in New York. But with that, I'll open it up because it's time to talk to you guys.
I wanted to ask you about Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously,
Yeah.
he could be playing here. In what ways do you still maybe see the remnants of the effects that he had in your locker room still today?
Yeah, listen, I got a special place in my heart for Tyrann, right? He's a special guy. It'd be great to see him. I think the last time we saw him, we went down there preseason game. Yeah, that was the last time we got a chance to give him a big hug. But love Tyrann. I see it every day. It's a little thing, but our DBs, before we go out, you guys aren't out there until we get to stretch, right? But usually about 10 minutes before that, all of the DBs are out on the field. And they're doing footwork, and Dave's with them, and Donald was with them. But that was really established with Tyrann all the way back. He was pulling those guys out of the locker room 10 minutes early. And so that's a leadership thing. And I think he laid a foundation here, especially in the secondary, of some of the things that we do, quite frankly, and the way they operate. I know those years, looking back when he was first here, LJ was young at the time, and I remember him learning from Tyrann. And then, then Tyrann left, and LJ was teaching Trent. And so there's been a trickle down, and I think we owe Tyrann a lot for what he did when he was here.
I know you usually kind of hesitant of the jinx, but what has been, you think, the main reason you've been able to be so successful against running back production this year?
Yeah, I mean, every game's different, right? So you hope that continues. But I think the guys are playing like that. I think the chemistry and being lock and step is really important. I just got asked a similar question by Joe, and I do think the fact that our linebackers play aggressively downhill helps us too, because I think it helps the linemen in front of them. So if we can keep doing that and making sure we don't give up, the thing that's kind of bit us a little bit is a couple of explosive passes here and there. And then it kind of gets the offense going. It was like we were doing pretty good, and then Justin hit that slant to the slot there, and Tremari was trying to. And thank God Brian Cook ran him down. But if we can eliminate those plays and keep playing run defense like that, then we can get them in longer third downs and try to have some success.
Have you found a common thread in first drives of the game? Teams have had some success.
Yeah. The common thread is we're giving up too many points in those drives. I was watching something, and that came up. We talk about it all the time. That had usually not been a problem for us. But listen, I'll credit offenses. They script. Most teams script. They say we can get this done, and they practice it, and they're pretty efficient at it. Somewhere in there in that first drive, we got to get a third down stop. Get them the third down, get a third down stop. I always felt like the first third down of the game that you're out there is really important to get the stop. You want that to be on the third play. You don't want it to be on play 5, 6, 7, or 8. But if we can find a way to be, I would say if we can find a way to be better on third down early, it might lead to us getting off the field.
The Saints are really good on third down this year.
Yeah.
Second in the NFL. What do you see from them?
Well, I think they're really good because they mix it up. It's not just pass, and it's not just trying to chuck it down deep. I mean, they'll run the football. And they got some really good people to do that, so that kind of gets you on your heels a little bit. Derek knows exactly what to. I've always had respect for Derek Carr and how he gets them in and out of a bad play and into a good one. I think that has a lot to do with it. And he's a very accurate quarterback. And when you're talking about a 3rd and 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, and he's smart enough to say, hey, I'm just going to get the first down here. I think that's why they're really good.
Chris coming off his 2-sack game, what kind of start is he off to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the totals are. I just know he does affect the game for us. I think he affects every player around him, whether it's a linebacker fitting behind him, whether it's somebody pass rushing along with him, whether it's the protections that we're seeing because of Chris. We got to keep trying to take advantage of that, and hopefully in him keep playing the way he does. It's certainly going to help us. I mean, we're a better football team, obviously, when Chris is playing like that. Not just sacks, but what he's been doing in the run game, too.
With the, we've seen before, Steve, how when the offense comes off the field, Pat will usually talk to either Andy or Matt. For you, do you have a similar sort of back and forth with Chris?
It's actually more Nick. I mean, I'm kind of up and down the bench there, but things that we need for the D line would be Chris. But I mean, Nick is the guy that's in the middle. Nick and the safeties, because it's usually a communication thing, or if I see something with the D line, as I'm looking at the pictures, I'm usually walking down there. But it's probably, it's probably, now listen, I got great trust in the coaches that are on the sideline dealing with their units, and you'll see that during the game. They each have their guys, and if I feel like I got to chime in, I do. But pretty much they take care of it, and then if I need to give something different to Nick that we're going to change, he'd be the guy to go to.
Steve, with Kamara having kind of lower body strength he does, how important is it or how do you slow him down?
Yeah, well, listen, the first thing we put up, we always put objectives, but the number one here, objective against these guys, I think is tackling, not just the running back, but the wideouts too, because the yak and what they can do explosively. But he's always been a challenge. He's what we call a stretch to cutback player. I just think when he decides to stick his foot in the ground and go like that, he's really difficult if you're not disciplined and technique-wise really good on the backside. Like when the play goes away from you, and there's certain things you need to do and expect 41 to come back. And if you're not ready for that, I mean, you've seen it. You can see what he's done.
And
Couple more.
Yeah, and you were talking about the third down, with how successful the Saints have been on first and second down the first couple of weeks. How
Yeah.
important is it to get them in a third and long?
Yeah.
Play calling perspective?
Yeah, with every team, that's a goal. This team is no different. I think they do a really good job with deciding how they're going to protect. I mean, they'll have a plan for Chris and the things that we do. We just got to try to figure it out quick enough and hopefully get him in those down and distances. We were fortunate last week where I think we got a few more negative plays on first and second down that got us in some longer, and we were able to take advantage of that.
Last
Steve,
two, we'll go Sam and then Todd.
What do you think about the way Jalen Watson's been playing, particularly this last week in LA?
Yeah, really good game last week. I mean, I think he kicking himself in the butt for not catching that one ball. He would have loved to have that, and he usually makes those. He's got pretty good hands, but Jalen's been solid. We need that. We need we need that position to keep playing really well. When we move Trent inside, with whoever goes in there needs to continue to play well. You need 3 really good ones in this league, and we got 4 games under our belt, so hopefully our guys will keep getting better and better.
You mentioned you have the respect you have for Derek Carr. You've seen him over the years, a long time in this league, now with a different team. How have you seen him grow throughout that, and especially now in his year 2 with this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while to think back at when he was younger, like what the difference is. But I know in these last few years that we've had an opportunity to go against each other. I've always have great respect for the guys that from the chin to the hairline are really good, and that's what Derek is. Not every quarterback is on. I think he is. I mean, he got us back here a couple of years ago on a 3rd and 1. I don't know if he checked in and out of it, but the long pass play that went for a touchdown. I don't forget those things. And so I realized that he's one of those guys that he'll study the film. He'll know at a lot of downs. He'll know exactly what we're trying to do, and he'll have a plan for what he can do with his offense to get him in. And I think that's the challenge when you play a guy like that. And he's talented. Look he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league right now, as far as where he's putting the ball. I think his receivers probably appreciate that, and he's got some guys he can throw it to.
Thank you.
Good?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
cameras caught you talking about Patrick Mahomes, talking to Patrick about a blanket mentality. It seems self-explanatory, but I wonder what stood out to you on that.
Well, I didn't know I had no idea about that. I know what you're talking about, but I think it's just one of them. We talked a little bit throughout the week of just going about some certain mentalities as we go through it, and that was that. Short and sweet, nothing to the point. And you can probably take from it and understand where we're at with that. And we were all like that, heading into that moment. So,
What do you want him doing or not doing after he throws an interception?
just whatever he's been doing his whole career, because the beauty of Pat is that he always knows why it happened, and then we always want to know, like, what'd you see in that moment? And so he kind of lost vision on that corner. I'm fortunate enough to be able to come from a quarterback's perspective. I played the position all my life, so I know when you're back there, the things you can and can't see, and it's easy when you're in a booth or on the sideline to say what you thought should have happened. So most of the time he's right in what he sees and doesn't see, but we just go back to like making sure progression-wise, footwork-wise, all that kind of stuff, we always start there. And I think that's what we've continued to do this year and moving forward here. But the kid made a good play. He fell off on the deep route, made a good play, and that's just something you want to use moving forward throughout that game to stay away from that. Go ahead.
I take it you don't want to see him be a defender.
Not at all, no. But at the same point in time, you appreciate the selflessness of trying to make a tackle. It's unfortunate what happened, but we always are training our guys that if that does happen, make sure that we react to it and try to either force them back inside or make the play.
How difficult in those situations when you lose a piece like Rice is it to sort of hit the reset button and pull off what you were able to in that situation?
Well, there's emotions that go into it, number one, that's the human element, but then there's the coaching part and then the player's aspect of being able to understand personnel-wise. He was obviously a big part of that game plan, and he always is. So that's why throughout the week it's important to make sure that guys are, even if it's not in practice, somewhere at practice, getting reps in certain positions. And so there's a little bit of juggling that goes on in a short period of time, personnel-wise, and then understanding who's going to run the next route that was in Rashid's spot. And if you take that person from a route, then you got to replace him, so it's kind of a domino effect. So I thought that Coach Embry and the wide receivers, tight ends, Coach Mel, I thought everybody did a great job of getting back into the swing of things that a lot of people don't see. But we got to, guys got to always be ready.
When you look at Rashid, obviously he was doing a lot for you guys for the first three weeks. Without asking you to get into the scheme of what your solutions are going to be, what do you have to replace with him out?
Well, he's different in a lot of ways. He's grown a lot, and we kind of had a good feel as to what we liked, what he did well. But that's a part of this game. NFL teams across the league right now are dealing with injuries, so who's the next man up? It's generic, but it's real. And then how do you work through that? So we feel like we have a lot of great receivers on our roster, guys with experience, guys with different talents, and then it's our job in prep-wise to put them in the greatest position.
I mentioned with Dennis Allen, he offers a lot of unscouted looks. When you're in your shoes, just how do you go about preparing for something like that?
Sure. You want to make sure you 30,000-foot view-wise have like a good versus all concepts. Make sure, because when teams and coordinators have different looks, you don't want to get caught with something that you think they're going to give you and then it's something opposite. So I think we've done a pretty good job at that this year, making sure that the guys feel comfortable, and then when a play is called, they can go out and execute in a quick manner.
Reed's running the other day must have seemed familiar to you.
It was. Yeah, it was really neat. He's so violent. He's physical. He had a great attitude throughout. He had however many. I think he had 16 or 17 carries, a few touches in the pass game. That's who he is, and we weren't really sure going into it how many he'd get. But he runs violent. He runs hard, and when you're doing that, it makes it nice.
Matt, having been a quarterback and being a coordinator and play caller, when a quarterback has a mistake or you don't make a conversion on the next drive, how do you kind of get them back into a rhythm and kind of get them back to zero for that next drive?
Staying calm and going back to the basics. We've had a lot of great things happen in this offense because of him, and there's a lot of things that happen within one play. If it's whether it's a protection, whether it's a throw, or whether it's a wrong route that happens on an interception. So just understanding that part of it, and then resetting and using that next play mentality. And there's no one better than him because he's so competitive and he wants to be great. So he puts a lot of pressure on himself in a good way. It's a healthy pressure because he wants to do great. So we just want to make sure that we balance that, keep it contained, and then go out there and cut it loose.
Last couple.
Carson had another fumble. Was it a technique issue on that play, or is this just, hey man, it's the NFL and it's big, strong guys?
I wouldn't say necessarily a technique issue, more than just it was a great play by the guy with hitting it. But that said, like you said, he's had 2 now. And so we got to make sure that we're emphasizing it throughout the week. We're practicing it throughout the week. And then he's got to take that into the game and understand you got to be – it's not like he's swinging the ball around. It's been difficult. But to me, more than anything, it's probably like, okay, that happens. We had a good drive going. There's a fumble. It kind of deflates you a little bit, everybody. But we got to rally, pick him up, and keep moving forward. He's a great player, great kid.
When you say you practice it, and there's certain things you can do, but you don't tackle to the ground and all those things during the week. So
No, you can't.
really can't practice.
You can't practice, but you can, I think more than anything, emphasize it, and then you can practice it with certain drills. And Coach Pink and Coach Porter do a phenomenal job with that every week. It's unfortunate right now, and it needs to stop, and I really believe it will. But you gotta speak it into existence.
Last one, anyone? Thank you, Coach.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Chris, just assess your season so far.
It's only 4 games in, man. Still got a long ways to go. Continue to get better every day. We got a lot of areas we need to improve in.
How about the defense as a whole?
A lot of areas we can improve in, but, still getting better.
What sort of areas are the ones that stick out to you that you guys got to get better at?
Tackling. I think we missed a couple tackles last week. Early started the game, not giving up big plays, eliminating our opponent from scoring at the beginning of the game. I think that's hunting us for the last 2 games. First drive, starting fast as we finish.
Spags mentioned the first drive of the game. He'd love to get the first third down of the game is a big one for him. If you can get that first third down off there. Is the common thread in those maybe some tackling, just some things happening so far this year?
Yeah, I think it's areas we can fix. It's nothing too extraordinary we can't fix. I think us as players got to take that and try to make sure we execute that on coming up this week.
Chris, you've been doing this a while. How much juice do you still get for something like Monday Night Football, just knowing that through the isolated game?
The fact that it's going into our bye week, I'd rather it be a Sunday night game, but I'm super excited that we get a Monday night game.
Derek Carr is someone you've gone up against a lot in your life. What do you see from him with New Orleans as you started to get ready for this one?
They're playing really good football. It's a playoff caliber team. We're facing heck of a defense, and the offense is relying heavy on Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara.
You expect to catch up with some old friends before the game? Seems like there's a lot of ex-Chiefs on this team.
Yeah, we got Willie A, TK, Tyrann, Colin Sanders. I talked to him last night. I'm gonna call him today, see if he can give me any spits about him being in the offense. Probably won't. But it's good, man. It's good to play against your peers that you once played and accomplished so much with. It's also a challenge, though. We want to come in here and make sure we leave with a win, So it's exciting. Looking forward to it, and maybe we can chat after the game.
What do you remember about Colin's time here and just the relationship you guys developed?
That's my guy, man. That's my guy. Me and Colin, we became very close over the time he was here. I used to go over to his house, still call his mama. We shared a very personable relationship. That's my guy. I wish him nothing but success on his journey in this league. And, when we play Monday, he's the opponent.
What do you remember about what Tyrann meant to kind of like leadership-wise for your defense when he came in?
He was such a leader. One of the premier safeties in this league and still playing at a high level to this day. I think he's defeating Father Time also. But Tyrann's always been an exceptional leader, even coming out of LSU. You put on the tape, there's one player that always sticks out, that's Tyrann Matthew, and still playing at a high level.
It's Friday. They didn't take away your sacks or anything? Do you get full credit for everything this week?
I don't even know. Don't even get me started about
it
this.
looked like George had his finger on somebody.
Yeah. I guess the league, they waited 3 days last time, so I guess they're waiting 4 days this time.
Do you think maybe the AFC award was making up for it a little bit?
Excuse me?
AFC Player of the Week.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Last one, anyone?
Yeah,
All right,
take
thank
care.
you, Chris.
I'll take my half a second.